Hello, Darren the Magic Ghostbuster here. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe and check out all my Ghostbusters themed magic videos, as that is my main thing. I'd really appreciate it. Now in this video I'm comparing the Eaglemoss Hero Collector build in Ecto 1 to the Blitzway Ecto 1. These are the two largest Ecto 1s available if you exclude inflatable ones and obviously a real life Ecto 1, which we would all love. Now the Eaglemoss Hero Collector Ecto 1, I have just finished stage 42, so there's about another 100 stages to get, and I'll do a couple more of these videos in the future, probably when we get around another 50 to go and then at the end. So obviously I can't compare the cars completely because we haven't finished the Ecto one that's by Eaglemoss, but I'm going to compare what's done so far to the Blitzway one. Obviously I won't be looking at the lights and all that because can't compare them at the moment. Now this does always cause a bit of controversy when it's brought up on different Facebook groups and so on. You'll get people that think the Blitzway's better, you'll get people that say the Eaglemoss Hero Collector one's better, and it gets really nasty actually. I don't think there's any need for it. They're both great models, they're brilliant, you know. Some people are going to prefer Blitzway, some people are going to prefer Eaglemoss, you know. Whichever one you think is the best basically. Doesn't matter what I think or what anyone else thinks, it's what you think. But anyway, I'm going to compare them, I'm going to give you my thoughts, and hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I've got these all laid out on my bed because I don't have enough room to lay them all next to each other, they're so big. I'm not really comparing the Playmobil one, but I've just put that there just so you get an idea of size. And as you can see, we have the Eaglemoss Hero Collector in the middle, and then the Blitzway at the back, and obviously the Blitzway towers over both of them. It's just massive. It's ridiculously massive, really. But anyway, let's just get a couple of the obvious bits out the way. So the Blitzway is plastic, the Eaglemoss is mostly exterior, is going to be metal. You just couldn't make that Blitzway in metal, it'd just be too heavy. This thing is just so heavy as it is, and the size makes it so awkward to carry. But obviously metal does look nicer, there's no denying that. Another thing, obviously, if you buy the Blitzway, it's done. You don't need to put it together, which is great for impatient people like me. The Eaglemoss obviously is going to take about 2.5 years to make, so I would say that's an advantage to the Blitzway if you're impatient. Of course, if you prefer making stuff, and the Eaglemoss is probably the better one. Obviously, of course, the Eaglemoss as well is doing it that way. You do spread out the payments, so that is an advantage. Now, I would say if you're the sort of person that only buys these things for future value, I would say probably the Blitzway is the one to go with. Because generally speaking, these 1/6 scale vehicles, they just go up in value so much. I mean, I bought the Hot Toys DeLorean for £500 when it came out, and it goes for about £1.5 grand nowadays. And the part work builds, they just don't really seem to go up in value very much. Very rarely you see one go for what the money's put into it. But I mean, we don't know what the future's going to bring, so that's just speculation. Okay, so that's comparing the two bonnets. I don't think the camera's picking this up. There is a very, very slight difference in shade of white, which I don't think you can see. Now, one problem that people had with the Eaglemoss Hero Collector version is the screws on the vents. So obviously the Blitzway does look nicer in that regard. There are some companies that have made new vents for this, and they cost about £30. Personally, I don't really want to start mentioning mods generally when it comes to comparing them, because you can mod everything, and I do think, even though it's good that companies have done that, I don't think you should have to pay 30 quid for a couple of vents to make it look better, personally. That's just my opinion though. I know loads of people will do that, and that's great. Okay, so comparing the wheels, that's the Blitzway, and here is the Hero Collector. Now I think the Hero Collector one is probably the better out of these two, because you have more details around the wall of the tyre, which I don't know if you can actually see that on the, there we go, that's better. You can see the writing there. There is the these two ones are quite plain. Okay, so we're going to compare the number plate, and just there's the Blitzway, and there is the Eaglemoss. Now you will notice that the Eaglemoss is printed wrong. It's printed off centre. Now there is actually a reason for this, and that is when Ecto bursts out of the firehouse doors the first time, you get a close up of the number plate, and the number plate is actually, those parts are hidden behind the frame, and that is why Eaglemoss have printed it this way. So technically speaking, this is more accurate, but it just doesn't work because it doesn't look like it's behind the frame. It doesn't even go to the edge here. It just looks misprinted. So I just don't think they executed that very well at all. So personally, I think the Blitzway just wins hands down on the number plate. And again, I know people are doing mods, but whatever. Okay, so these are both plastic, which is slightly disappointing. It would have been nice if these were metal on the Eaglemoss, but they're not. And the Eaglemoss is shinier, it's more chrome-like, and this is more duller. I personally prefer the duller version, but you know, I know people are going to prefer the shinier chroma version, so that's all down to personal preference. Really, I mean, they both look great though. They both look really good. So I do think I prefer this one slightly, but it's very close. Okay, so like I said at the intro, we can't compare the lights yet because we've not done the lights on this, but I will talk a little bit about the battery because we have put the battery box in the Eaglemoss Hero Collector version. Now the batteries, there's 3 different power sources on this. So this lifts up and you put batteries in there. I'll get that on properly later. And also same under here, and then there's a USB which powers the sound here. This is disappointing, but I'll go into that once we actually get to the sound part, or you can check out my review video on this if you want. Now, one thing I can see being a little bit, not a massive problem, I think this would just be easier to replace the batteries because you just have to pop these up, put batteries in. This is on the bottom, and I think once this is built, it's not something you're going to want to tip over because it's just going to be awkward, so you probably have to pull it to the edge of the table and then get underneath and change the batteries. So not a major thing, but just something that's going to be a little bit easier with this one. Okay, so comparing the engine, now I will be completely honest, I'm not a big car buff, so I don't really know how accurate either engine is, but I think the Eaglemoss one just looks more detailed to me. Like lots more wires and stuff we've put in, and I just think it looks more detailed. Like I said, I have no idea about cars, so they both look great. I mean, putting this together, there's so much detail that you won't even see underneath. But personally, like I said, I'm not really into cars in that way, into engines, so I mean, I'll never actually display either with the bonnet open, so personally I would have been fine if it was just black plastic. But I know some people really love their engines, and I know some people have gotten really excited about building this. I've seen some great stuff that people have done to it as well. But yeah, so personally I think this one probably, it looks more detailed, but I'll say that with no knowledge of engines. So one of the most recent things we've been doing with the Eaglemoss version is doing the dashboard, and the dashboard's pretty good. It's got like a working glove box. The brake pedal is actually going to work, and that's going to activate the brake lights if I've done the wiring properly. And this will light up as well. We've already put some bulbs in the back there. So very detailed. Now we're going to take a look. It's not as easy to look inside here, but I'm just going to get my torch, and as you can see, still pretty detailed. I do think the Eaglemoss one is probably a little bit more detailed than this one. And let's bring the camera around the other side. So one last thing that we can compare is the Proton Packs. Now this is a Blitzway Proton Pack, and this is a thing of beauty. It's just so detailed. It's amazing, and even lights up. Push that. See, we get the lights. It just looks really good. Now, in comparison, the Eaglemoss Proton Packs are absolute rubbish. Now, I've actually started to mod mine. Let's turn that off, and let me show you how. I've only begun this, so I've not finished modding it yet. I will be doing a video on that, but I'm going to flash up a photo of what this looked like before I started modding it. See, and as you would have seen from that photo, just so much key details are missing. The wires were too long. You know, no ribbon cable, which I still have not replaced. This wire wasn't there. Wire wasn't on the tip of the gun. But the biggest crime of all was the wand didn't even attach to the Proton Pack. It was they're just rubbish, basically. They need so much modification. But it should have had this attaching to the pack as an absolute minimum. But there you go. So Blitzway, obviously you win hands down on the Proton Pack department. Of course, the only downside to that is you do have to spend a lot of money to buy the figures that the packs come with. So I'm not sure that's a completely fair comparison, but well, we've got to compare them, haven't we, really? So that is everything that we can really compare at the moment, until obviously we get further down the road with the Eaglemoss Hero Collector version, and I will be doing a part 2 to this video, but it's going to be a while, obviously, until I feel there's enough stuff done to this to compare. One other thing I should have mentioned at the beginning is obviously the Blitzway does have the advantage of having the figures if you've got those as well. It just gives you more display possibilities. But as I said, they're both brilliant models. You know, the Blitzway is amazing. The Eaglemoss is amazing so far, and I have no doubt it will be once it's finished. Obviously both are going to have their pluses and minuses that we've gone over, and you know, I know some people are going to prefer this one, some people are going to prefer that one, but they're just both great. I'm just glad we're living in a time where, you know, we've got these two brilliant Ectos plus all the other Ghostbusters merch. I mean, I remember the dark times when there was hardly any Ghostbusters merch available. Yeah, sad times, don't really want to think about those. But anyway, let me know in the comments what your favourite is. Do you have either of these? Just one? Both? You enjoying the Eaglemoss Hero Collector? Have you done mods to either? All that sort of stuff. Don't forget to check out my magic videos, and check out part 2 of this eventually when I get to it. Or next, if you know, you're watching this 5 years down the line and I've already done it. But anyway, until I see you in the next video, keep on busting.